Are you not entertained? Yeah, I'm not sure what the timer is for. But knowing Vimlark, I'm not surprised that you don't click anywhere to like it, do you? I don't think so. You see what I'm thinking about making now, Scrubbles? Check. Oh, we need to see we need the good picture. This is what I want to make. Although I don't need to do it all fancy with the cross beams. Should the flock of dogs app ID be featured? Everyone knows an app's ID, I think. when you have it in your library. I'm not sure. That doesn't seem that interesting to me. Oh yeah, I did want to just respond. No, no, those are just, there wouldn't be any balls unless I wanted to do clouds. If I have to mention an important thing about my stance about what elements should be free or not, and that is anything previously declared free shouldn't be moved by to paywall. My consideration that anyone who is aware of previous knowledge of free element of the game being moved by is entitled to the opinion that they sold that. And this thing that you draft, I think you should introduce the minigames are part of the dog park. Minigame park advertises free DLC. It should be. No, the minigame park is not DLC. It's base game. The minigame park's always been there. I don't know exactly what I'm trying. Like, am I like asking this guy for marketing advice? I don't know. We can help with switching the tile from free to pay. This is a permanent change, and we wouldn't be able to transition you back to free. Before we make that switch, listen. Anyone who acquired a game for free won't receive trading cards unless the game has in-app purchases. Existing revenue reviews will no longer count toward the review score. Any customers who acquired the game for free in the past will keep it. Yeah. Can you give us more background on this decision? Does your game have online components? My game does have online play. Anyone has game would be able to play online. Alright, we messaged him. Five interesting things. Woke capital anti-trust versus ESG. Yeah, Halo does it. And my game's just like Halo. Social media silences moderates and amplifies extremists. Yeah, that's known. U.S. pedestrian deaths aren't due to bigger vehicles. The bigger vehicles help you win when you hit other cars. A nighttime phenomenon. Hmm. What about indie games? Yeah, that one I don't know. I've sort of been on the lookout for games like this, like do what my game is doing, and I don't really know of any other than games that have like a demo. Um, all right, it's time. Look at all the work we've done. Welcome to the Henry George Daily Devotional episode. Uh-oh, question mark, question mark. This is episode what? 41? Yes, episode 41. We are in book 3 of Interest and the Cause of, sorry, we are in book 3, The Laws of Distribution, chapter 3 of Interest and the Cause of Interest. How interesting. George continues. Now, the interchangeability of wealth necessarily involves an average between all the species of wealth of any special advantage which accrues from the possession of any particular species. For no one would keep capital in one form when it could be changed into a more advantageous form. No one, for instance, would grind wheat into flour and keep it on hand for the convenience of those who desire it from time to time to exchange wheat or its equivalent for flour, unless he could by such exchange secure an increase equal to that which, all things considered, he could secure by planting his wheat. Okay. No one, if he could keep them, would exchange a flock of sheep now for their net weight in mutton to be returned next year. For by keeping the sheep, he would not only have the same amount of mutton next year, but also the lambs and the fleeces. No one would dig an irrigating ditch unless those who by its aid are enabled to utilize the reproductive forces of nature would give him such a portion of the increase as they receive as to make his capital yield him as much as theirs. Yes, no one will dig an irrigating ditch unless the people who benefit share with him. And so, in any circle of exchange, the power of increase which the reproductive or vital force of nature gives to some species of capital must average with all. And he who lends or uses in exchange money or planes, planes meaning the carpenter tool, uh, because aeroplanes were not a thing yet, or bricks or clothing, is not deprived of the power to obtain an increase any more than if he had lent or put to a reproductive use so much capital in a form capable of increase. Meanwhile, on YouTube, in the primitive technology channels, which aren't using the irrigation ditch for reproductive forces, I don't know what you're getting at, Table Cat. We continue. There is also in the utilization of the variations in the powers of nature and of man, which is effected by exchange, an increase which somewhat resembles that produced by the vital forces of nature. In one place, for instance, a given amount of labor will secure 200 in vegetable food or 100 in animal food. In another place, these conditions are reversed, and the same amount of labor will produce 100 in vegetable food or 200 in animal. It's funny, when I read animal food the first time, I was thinking like dog food for your dog, but now I'm thinking he means like meat versus veggies for human consumption. Although you could give the meat to your dog too. We continue. In the one place, the relative value of vegetable to animal food will be as 2 to 1. That's in the first one. And in the other as 1 to 2. And supposing equal amounts of each to be required, the same amount of labor will, in either place, secure 150 of both. But by devoting labor in the one place to the procurement of vegetable food, and in the other to the procurement of animal food, and exchanging to the quantity required, the people of each place will be enabled by the given amount of labor to procure 200 of both, less the losses and expenses of exchange, so that in each place the produce which is taken from use and devoted to exchange brings back an increase. Thus, Whittington's cat, sent to a far country where cats are scarce and rats are plenty, returns in bales of goods and bags of gold. That must be a delightful little anecdote about Whittington's cat, or idiom, or who knows. Not sure what he's getting at after here, but yes, if some place makes vegetables way easier than animals, it's likely people will use that to make vegetables. It is interesting to note that there is an expense and a loss associated with exchange. It is a friction. All right, let's keep going. Of course, labor is necessary to exchange as it is to the utilization of the reproductive forces of nature. And the produce of exchange, as the produce of agriculture, is clearly the produce of labor. But yet, in the one case as in the other, there is a distinguishable force cooperating with that of labor, which makes it possible to measure the result solely by the amount of labor expended, but renders the amount of capital and the time it is in use integral parts in the sum of forces. Capital aids labor in all of the different modes of production, but there is a distinction between the relations of the two in such modes of production as consists merely of changing the form or place of matter, as planing boards or mining coal, And such modes of production, yes, there's two ways. It can be changing the form of matter. You can get planes, not the flying kind, or mining coal. And such modes of production as avail themselves, and this is the other type, the, the modes that avail themselves of the reproductive forces of nature, or of the power of an increase arising from differences in the distribution of natural and human powers, such as the raising of grain or the exchange of ice for sugar. Yes, that's also some parts of nature are much better suited to certain production than others. He doesn't bundle that with the reproductive forces of nature, but okay. In production of the first kind, I think that's with the planing boards and the coal. Labor alone is the efficient cause. When labor stops, production stops. Okay? Just like when I don't work on my video game, no progress is made. That is something that's kind of a disappointment. You like go away for the weekend, and today is Monday, and you sit down and you look at your code, and it's no progress has been made. When the carpenter drops his plane as the sun sets, the increase of value which he with his plane is producing ceases until he begins his labor again the following morning. When the factory bell rings for closing, when the mine is shut down, production ends until work is resumed. The intervening time, so far as regards production, might as well be blotted out. The lapse of days, the change of seasons, is no element in the production that depends solely upon the amount of labor expended. But in the other modes, okay, I was like, we get it. In the other modes of production to which I have referred, and in which the part of labor may be likened to the operations of a lumberman, who throw their logs into the stream, leaving it to the current to carry them to the boom of the sawmill many miles below, time is an element. The seed in the ground germinates and grows while the farmer sleeps or plows new fields. Any Stardew Valley player will tell ya. And the overflowing currents of air and ocean bear Whittington's cat toward the rat-tormented ruler in the regions of romance. I don't know. Whittington's cat was the cat that went to some faraway place where rats were plenty and cats were scarce. I guess that's in the regions of romance. To recur now to Bastiat's illustration, which I don't remember, it is evident that if there is any reason... Oh, this is William and James the carpenters. It is evident that if there is any reason why William at the end of the year should return to James more than an equally good plane, which is what he borrowed, it does not spring, as Bastiat has it, from the increased power which the tool gives to labor, for that, as I have shown, is not an element, but it springs from the element of time, the difference of a year between the lending and the return of the plane. Now, if the view is confined to the illustration, there is nothing to suggest how this element should operate. For a plane at the end of the year has no greater value than a plane at the beginning. But if we substitute for the plane a calf, it is clearly to be seen that to put James in as good a position as if he had not lent, William at the end of the year must return not a calf, but a cow. Or if we suppose that 10 days' labor had been devoted to planting corn, it is evident that James would not have been fully recompensed if at the end of the year he had received simply so much planted corn, for during the year the planted corn would have germinated and grown and multiplied. So if the plane had been devoted to exchange, it might during the year have been turned over several times, each exchange yielding an increase to James. Now therefore, as James' labor might have been applied in any of those ways, or what amounts to the same thing, some of the labor devoted to making planes might have been thus transferred. He will not make a plane for William to use for the year, unless he gets back more than a plane. And William can afford to give back more than a plane because the same general average of the advantages of labor applied in different modes will enable him to obtain from his labor an advantage from the element of time. It is this general averaging, or as we may say, pooling of advantages, which necessarily takes place where the exigencies of society require the simultaneous carrying on of the different modes of production, which gives to the possession of wealth, incapable in itself of increase, an advantage similar to that which attaches to wealth used in such a way as to gain from the element of time. And in the last analysis, the advantage which is given by the lapse of time springs from the generative force of nature and the varying powers of nature and of man. The varying power, yeah. I will comment here that a lot of Georgists, when you talk about interest, we want to talk about, some of them at least nowadays, talk about Silvio Gesell. And I have not read his works. Uh, I know that he has opinions about interest, and specifically if everyone were to just, if somebody were to just hold their money as regular currency, or as hard currency or as digital currency, um, some problems sort of arise. Like if you assume no currency is printed, um, and effectively inflation would be at zero. As more wealth is created, um, each bit of currency points to like a portion of that wealth, and so by like not spending money, your portion of the wealth essentially goes up. I think is something he sort of, I don't know. I really shouldn't be talking about it because I haven't read it. Anyway, interest is something that Georgists have thought more of, and thought that Henry George didn't have it all exactly right. I don't consider that very essential to the understanding of land and land monopoly, and I'm somewhat skeptical of Gesell's amendings or whatever, but I don't even know what they are really. Were the this is back to George, or maybe we stop. Yeah, I guess we could stop there. Yeah. This it's very clear to me that, yeah, lending out something that can take advantage of the reproductive force of nature, like a baby cow or a seed, um, you would have to return the seed plus what nature would have produced in that time to sort of make the other person equal. And I guess I sort of understand that if I lend out, a hammer for a year, I expect to get my hammer back plus, like, an extra nail or something. And I guess if it's for a full year or whatever that time, I guess it depends on that tool, how often it could itself sort of be lent out in some discrete amount of time that would make it worthwhile to have that tool for. Because there's no such thing as lending anybody a hammer for a tenth of a second. Um, but also, like, lending somebody a hammer for 10 years doesn't seem, you know, a normal thing either. Anyway, you guys let me know in the comments. See you later. The varying powers of nature and of man. This is episode 41. Continued Yeah, that's just my style, Patrick. But good looking out. Do I plan on playing 1 Hour, One Life? No, I don't think I will be playing that today. I feel I feel like I really need to. Oh, well, if Patrick's here, well, let's see if I can show him. I think understud. I think I messaged Steam about converting my game to free, and they're like, "Why do you want to do this? We can't undo this. This is a big deal. Give us reasons." And I basically now have sort of chickened out, and so I might stick with my original plan of base game free and mini games free. I mean, there is a problem with that if like somehow my game gets very popular only in free to play, then I'm gonna have to like pay for servers for people to play for free. But I'll deal with that when I get popular, and then I'll sell other things, I guess. Um, George talks about how capital allows labor to utilize the reproductive forces of nature. We also have to worry about the I guess we'll say static distribution of the advantages from nature, e.g., where do we go? I.e., like some fields good for veggies, some for sheep, and somehow George connects this to the lending of planes and its time component or something. Patrick says, oops, why did I go to progress and poverty again? We haven't updated the prices in a while, which is not good. This is what the dark mode's giving me? What is happening? Hmm. Book. To prevent being charged inadvertently, is it possible to build it? Yeah, I forget. Like my thing right now is like 20 concurrent users, and if it goes above that, I don't remember what happens. Um, of interest and the cause of interest. 1. Chapter. Oh man, I've fallen behind. Not good. Who am I logged in at? Okay. Your videos. I don't think those are the right. Um, there's 3 laws. There's a law for each factor of production since law of rent is okay, the others are effed up. Um, yeah, they did say something about 100 users for free deal at some point, but I didn't look into it, which was probably foolish of me. What? Um, what? This is continued times 1. Ah, we have gotten rid of Malthus, but we must provide a replacement, else what will else people will return. We'll just do it with that. There's 3 factors of production: labor, land, capital. Alright, the return to labor is wages, land is rent, capital is interest, profits is used badly, conflating are nice, clear definitions. That was continued in chapter 2. Rent and the law of rent. Chapter 2. Rent and the law of rent. We're copy pasting this in. We're all going to get this tattooed. Algebraically. How do we get back? Algebraically. Oops, damn it. I keep closing that one. Gary Neville calls on Mark Clattenburg to resign following the Forrest statement. Dang. Everyone everyone complaining about everyone. One of the British soccer teams accused a referee of favoring his team. All right, and now we're at what we started the other day. Of interest and the cause of interest of oh book 3 is the laws of distribution. Duh. Bastiat's example of the carpenters of a carpenter lending his plane to another carpenter. This doesn't utilize the reproductive forces of nature. This does involve a span of time which has consequences. And then today, some capital can allow labor to utilize the reproductive force of nature. Reproductive capital can. There's also just a non-uniform distribution of the aptness of nature to production. In some weird way, this has an implication that lending material objects deserve interest. See, I got what I'm able to interpret, if I'm correct, is that here, if wage fund doctrine is true, wages equals capital slash, then there's a positive relation between wages and capital. Also, there's a negative relationship between capital and interest rates. What I'm telling you, if I'm correct here, if wage fund doctrine is true, nice, nice. Babington Macaulay. My responses are so I'm not right. No. don't know why they're held for review. Hmm. Media, convert, add. Oh, we haven't. Henry Georgia Devotional 41, Book 3, Chapter 3, Continued 2. This is Continued 1. Alright, we don't want the updates. Okay. Pretty sure that's done. Oh, I do the WAV file. I did the WAV file. Okay. Episode 41. Thumbnail. Not made for kids. No. Post. English. No. 22. Cerritos. Nonprofit and activism. Publico. Okay. Spotify for podcasters. Audience size of 4. It's incredible. It's doubling. It was 1, then 2, and then we jumped straight to 4. I thought maybe I shouldn't use the name Henry George Daily Devotional episode 41 blah blah blah. I should just call it. I could put like episode 44 HEDD in parentheses and then give it a flavorful title. I like the format, but that's right. I guess if I'm trying to share it with the world. How do I? Today is the 1st. We continue with we've completed 8 weeks. Week of Henry George Daily Devotionals. It's time to learn about the laws of distribution. the ninth week of it's been done. We got two of these open. What's the other? Oh, Unity Cloud is now available. Oh, this was like a temporary thing, huh? But that was for quantum infusion. Maybe I need to switch to quantum fusion. Has there been a vertical scrolling axis on a map on a top-down 2D map in a way where the camera can be rotated to explore a map? I have seen top-down games that rotate the camera when you turn, and it's a lot. I think I'm going to exit Twitch. I don't know. Well, I'm definitely gonna go eat, and then maybe I'll stream just to Twitch, not to Henry George and YouTube, but maybe not. Bye bye.